Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Monday, March 18th, 2024 Board of Commissioners meeting. Let's call the meeting into order. And the first item tonight on the agenda is our invocation and pledge of allegiance. And we normally jump right into that, but I do want to let everyone know if you're here for the New Bridge Creek a public hearing this evening, we will not be hearing that. The applicant has asked us to change that. So when we get to that item this evening, we will be moving that to a later date, the second meeting in April. So we'll deal with that when we get to that. I just want to make anyone aware that's here for that. You don't have to stick around if you don't want to. And with that, we have Pastor Dan Berge here from New Life of Currituck to lead us in an invocation and pledge of allegiance. Come on up, sir.
Good evening, and good evening, Currituck County.
Evening.
Stand with me. Father God, we thank you so much for the opportunity tonight to meet and to decide and to think through things that are best for this county. Father, we just approach the throne tonight and we just say we need wisdom, we need grace, we need understanding, and we need courage as we make these decisions. And so, Father, I thank you for those here tonight that are willing to speak into all of those things that take place here within this county. And we ask you tonight for your blessing in this as we do this together. In the name of Jesus, amen.
Amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. All right, next up is our Ethics Awareness and Conflict of Interest Reminder from the County Attorney.
Okay. Pursuant to GS 153A-44, a commissioner has a duty to vote on matters coming before the board, but may be excused from voting on issues involving the commissioner's own financial interest, official conduct, or on matters on which the commissioner is prohibited from voting under GS 14-234 or 160D-109. In accordance with Chapter 2, Division 3 of the Currituck County Code of Ordinances, it is the duty of every commissioner to avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of conflict. Does any commissioner have any known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matters coming before the Board of Commissioners in this meeting? If so, please identify the conflict or appearance of conflict.
Since the new bridge is continued, I was going to disclose I did a job for the applicant in 2022 and 2021. 2 jobs. Didn't do anything in 2023. So just wanted to, my company, just wanted to disclose that.
Okay, thank you, sir. Anything else from the board? All right, seeing none, I'll move on to the approval of the agenda. We actually do need to make a motion to amend the agenda this evening. So I will make a move to approve the agenda this evening with the following change, that we move PB 23-20 New Bridge Creek to the second meeting in April. That would be April the 15th. To hear it at that time, it is a deferral that the applicant has asked for. Apparently, they were short one member that they needed this evening to come before the Board of Commissioners. Can we have a
Second.
Thank you. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, thank you. Any opposed? All right, thank you. Next up is public comment. As always, the public is invited to come up and speak to whatever they'd like to. You have 3 minutes to address the Board of Commissioners. The first person I have signed up tonight is Mr. Joe Hobbs. I will remind anyone that comes up that we need your name and address for the record, please, when you come up. Evening, Mr. Hobbs. It's been a while. How are you?
Good to see everybody, board. Hopefully y'all all doing okay. I'm back again. My name is Joe Hobbs. Let me describe myself. Live at 278 Northwest Backwoods Road, Moyock, NC 27958.
Thank you, sir.
I'm a North Carolina native, retired after 37 years. I was blessed. I worked Currituck County and Currituck County for 37 years with the Health Department, Currituck County Health Department. Of that 37 years, I worked 13 years as a county employee in Currituck. And then when we merged with Albemarle Regional Health Services, I worked 24 years with them. and always stayed in Currituck. So I've been around the county for a long time. And I thank y'all for your support in the past. I'm here tonight as a retired citizen. I have lived in the northwest community of Moyock for over 31 years. My wife and family are Moyock natives and have lived in Currituck for many generations. On April 17th, 2023, almost a year ago, I addressed this board that's currently in session, along with other citizens of Northwest Moyock community. I addressed it during public comment time concerning fire protection ratings in our community, which is located in the northwest area of Moyock Township along Northwest Backwoods Road to the North Carolina-Virginia border. On September 25th, 2023, along with other citizens in the northwest community of Moyock, attended a monthly fire and EMS advisory board meeting, voicing our concerns also about the fire protection ratings in our area and how homeowners insurance premiums have gone up 50% or more or less in our community because of our ISO fire protection ratings. Again, some of you in here may not know what an ISO fire protection rating is, but it's a rating of fire protection which was developed by the state of North Carolina. Is a rating of 1 to 10. 1 is good, 10 is the worst. Unfortunately, where we live, we're rated as a 10. And one of the reasons why we're rated a 10, which is the worst area in the county as far as ratings, our community is located more than 5 miles from the closest fire station. Another reason is no public water lines or hydrants serve our community on Northwest Backwoods Road. Other areas of Moyock Township have a ISO rating of 5 or worse due to the fact that they're within 5 miles of our one and only fire department, which is a volunteer fire department. I give them heads up because they do a good job. But we only have one fire department in Moyock. And those who live within 5 miles of that station have a rating of 5 because they have public water lines, hydrants, and because of that, they get a lot better insurance premium ratings than we do. We are here, or I am here, and I think I have some more voices for public comment concerning this subject. That we are here to request that the future Moyock Fire Station, or the second Moyock Fire Station, which is proposed, I heard in some of your other meetings, last couple meetings, few meetings, that they're proposing a fire station, but it's not going to be located in our area. It's not going to help our situation. And I'm here to request that we would like to have that fire station close to our area to help us. The community, our community at Northwest and Moyock, hadn't asked a lot from the board in many years. We hadn't asked for a park for our youth. We hadn't asked for volleyball courts or a recreation center. All we're asking for is to be treated the same as the rest of Moyock Township when it comes to fire protection. So that's what we're here. I'm here tonight to once again voice and ask for help from y'all guys. A new second fire station will serve our community of Moyock as well as other communities in Moyock and other areas in the county. Our area of the county is one of the fastest growing areas in the state, as we know. I don't have to tell you all about it, which currently lacks proper infrastructure necessary to accommodate responsible growth. I have, and a bunch of us have got together and we have done a petition. And I'd like to hand this to whoever tonight. And with this petition, it is to the Currituck County Board of Commissioners, other county citizens in Currituck County, and the county manager's office. It's from the citizens, landowners who live along Northwest Backwoods Road area, Moyock Township, Currituck County, North Carolina. Subject, citizens petition.
Joe, I got to cut you off. We have a 3-minute time limit. I'll let you go a little bit long, but if you.
It's
you
not
can-
much longer, please.
All right, I'll give you a little bit longer. but-
Okay. In this petition the petition says to be granted proper fire and emergency services along Northwest Backwoods Road in Moyock Township, area equal or better than fire and emergency services provided currently at other areas located in Moyock Township, Currituck. And also to improve ISO ratings to same or better than other areas of Moyock Township, to reduce homeowners' insurance premiums for citizens living in this area of Moyock by constructing a new fire station within 5 miles or less in this area, Northwest Backwoods Road, in the near future to properly protect the public health, safety, and general welfare of the citizens of Moyock that is required by the state of North Carolina. And I would, if you would, I'm gonna leave this petition to, could I give this to?
Yeah.
Along with some other information that will help you in your study of this.
Okay.
2 more things, right quick. It won't take but a second. We are requesting, if we could, have a meeting concerning this subject with the county officials to discuss this petition. And the other thing I'd like to conclude with is we also would like to have a representative who lives in our community be chosen to serve on the Fire and Emergency Services Advisory Board. Again, this has been a year since we first addressed it. We'd like to see something happen concerning to improve the fire protection in our community of Northwest in Moyock. I appreciate you listening to me, and thank you so much.
All right.
Mr.
Can I
Chairman,
Mike,
go ahead.
I was gonna ask the county manager, that proposed fire station, if and when, or when and if it gets built, is that gonna be paid fire staff, or is that gonna be volunteer?
No, it would, what has been talked about is actually a station that would house Moyock Volunteer Fire Department and our paid EMS staff, which also responds
So
to
the
fire
fire,
calls.
but the firefighters would be volunteers, so.
Yes.
Wherever that station's located, would have to be find enough volunteers to man it, because it won't be a paid fire department.
At this point, that's not
Okay, that's what I was
contemplated.
thinking.
yes, sir. Kevin?
My question's to Joe, and I've had phone calls about this, and I know Owen has as well. How far are y'all from Northwest Fire Station? 4 miles? I mean, I know your house is probably under 4 miles.
Yeah, ours is, where I live is about 3 miles, other people's it varies. But the thing is, I wanna point this out real quick, that
I know they're not-
mutual aid agreement that is between the county and,
Neighboring,
Northwest Naval Annex, according to the state, that is an unapproved district, fire district.
See, and
Because they're working on trying to redo that contract.
we can approach that, because that's what, and I mean, like, I know from public safety.
Yeah, that's probably a
Well,
little
I
bit
mean,
of
it's
discussion
a
for
major
another
problem.
night.
I've gotten a bunch of phone calls on it, but I know, like, for them, Northwest always, and I'm not knocking our volunteer fire department, they're awesome. Northwest always gets there first to anything on Backwoods Road, every day.
For some reason,
All right,
the state does not recognize the
all
federal
right, all
government.
right. Well,
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. We'll have to get together on, and if we want to do a work session, that's fine. Owen can certainly bring that up with us and sponsor that, okay?
I'll be with Mike Halsey Saturday.
Okay. All right. Did you have anything, Paul?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up this evening, I have Steve Hedrick. Good evening, sir.
Board, Steve Hedrick, 296 Summer Farms Trail here in Moyoc. I would like to address the failure to pass PB 24-03 last month, increasing the square footage of lots from 25 to 30,000 single-family residential mainland. Be honest with you, I thought it was going to be an easy push through. This is something that citizens have been asking for quite some time, myself included. Mr. Mims, another vocal proponent of such. And the discussion kind of digressed to where it was tabled for reevaluation. So I did my own due diligence. Found with the planning staff, which are great, by the way. Obviously, this came up in October 4th and 5th work sessions to address the square footage of lot sizes for a more rural feel. The request summary to change the text amendment for the UDO. It went through, let's see, Chairman White, here's where you requested it to change it from 25 to 30. Went through the planning board. I've got their minutes here. They seem to be fine with it. I really feel that there was a great opportunity to leave this county better than it was when you found it. And I'm sorry to see that this did not pass. I'm not quite sure why it didn't pass, unless, based on what I'm able to read, I did not see any reason why it shouldn't. However, I would like to see this be readdressed at sooner the better. And if for some reason that this amendment does not, cannot, will not pass, I think we owe it to the citizens to say why and or why not. I don't think that based on the months of people being here asking for this to go through, as obvious, it should not be taken lightly. And like I said, I really thought that this was going to be a pretty easy pass through, considering everyone else has already signed off on it up till it got here. So that's just my 30-second 2 cents for the evening. Thank you.
Well, hang on one second, Steve.
Didn't get
I'll talk
denied,
to you
I
a
don't
little bit more about that.
Yeah.
So one of the things was it was supposed to be for limited service areas, not single family mainland. So that is one of the reasons that it's not dead,
Okay.
but it's for limited service versus the entire mainland. While we heard from you and other people say we want up to 5 acre lots at one point and 1 acre lot minimum lot size, we worked through that. You've been here for that. We did have a lot of people that came up that also didn't want to own a lot that size.
Yes.
So it's not one size fits all scenario. So it is not dead in the water.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I can live with that. Like I said, just try to leave the county better than the way you found it.
Yep. It is
But
not
like I
dead
said,
in the
it's
water.
based on what I'm able to find. It was for single family, the conservation subdivisions.
Right. But it's a limited service district is what we're
Limited
really after.
service district, yeah, there's
so
a
it's
lot
not-
of-
yeah, which
yeah,
is
and
which
it's
is all the outlying areas,
Right.
right?
It's predominantly agricultural based on the maps from
Exactly.
the 06 land use plans that I spent a little bit of time going through as
Right,
well.
right.
Yeah, I try to
So-
be informed when I come
In
here.
fact, we
All right.
got that coming up here
Yeah.
soon, don't we, again?
Yes, we do.
All
It's
right.
coming back up.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you, sir. Have a good evening. All right. That was all I had signed up. Is there anyone that came in late that would like to speak to public comment this evening? All right. Seeing no one, I'll close public comment. We'll move on to commissioner report. Owen, would you like to lead us off this evening, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This past Saturday night, I attended the Moyoc Women's Club's White Out for Hunger event held at Loblolly Estate. And I've got to say kudos to the Moyoc Women's Club for doing this. They announced the other night that they have, over the last several years, raised almost $100,000 to support the food pantries and whatnot here in Currituck County. And kudos to the proprietors of Loblolly Pine. It was a wonderful event. A lot of people were there, and everybody had a good time. And I would ask people in the coming year, when it comes up again, to support that, because the Mayotte Women's Club, they do a lot of work, and like I say, hats off to them. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir, thank you. Chief Commissioner McCord.
Congrats to Commissioner Jarvis for her reelection. Congrats to anybody else that won. Janet Rose is in the crowd. Congrats, Janet. Like I said, and to the people that were unsuccessful, thank you. Thankless job. Pay is, not what anybody does it for, obviously. The beat downs that you take on social media is not the other reason why you do it as well. But like I said, anybody that is willing to put the $144 up, sign up and to run and put themselves out there, kudos to them, because it takes thick skin, guts, and so forth. But congrats to those that won and those that didn't. Like I said, I appreciate them for running, trying, and for the most part, I think everything was pretty clean, so that was good. The county manager, if I'm not mistaken, this is his last, is this your last commissioners meeting? Official Monday.
My last meeting with a unit of local government. That's
There you go. Well, good. Well, congratulations for you. Like I said, and wish you nothing but luck. Summer's around the corner. People drive, like I said, just drive safe on the road. Support the local fire departments. We got it great here. The amenities, I could list them, but I'd wear out my minutes of my commissioner comments. So I'm not going to do that tonight. But we do have it good. All the different departments in the county, the Parks and Rec, there's so much great stuff going on here. Don't believe everything you read on social media, because sometimes believe it or not, it's not true. Everything on the internet's not true as well. But like I said, just it's getting busier. We're getting into be that time where the roads are going to get more heavy with traffic. Be safe. The other morning, I think we had 3 wrecks in 10 minutes out there, and 2 of them were avoidable. So drive safe. If you're going to be late, if you speed to get to that light or go around somebody, you might save maybe 8 seconds. You're probably still going to be late. So if you get there in one piece, is better than not making it or harming somebody else's family for somebody's stupidity on the road or just total lack of disrespect on the highway. So that's all I got. But like I said, just there's a lot great going on, and Easter's around the corner, and it's going to start getting warmer, and let the fun begin. So,
All right,
That's it.
thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Beaumont?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And you and I talked about this briefly, but just for those in the community, distance of fire department to the house doesn't necessarily guarantee any kind of success. This past week, right, Monday, I believe.
yes, Monday.
House literally catty corner to the Pine Island, or I'm sorry, the Whalehead Fire Department, which is a fully staffed with paid firefighters and EMS, literally could have backed the ladder truck out and squirted water on the fire. It was that close to the fire station. That house burned to the ground because time is of the essence, and been really any closer. The fire engine that parked and fought that fire, it was so hot at the engine that it was bordering, it was quite a fire. The good news is the volunteers rolled out in droves and saved the house next door, which easily could have gone. And our fairly brand new beach crossover was also saved from damage due to the fire. But it happened. It started or it was, I guess, called in at 1:06 in the morning. There's not a whole lot of people up and moving around in Whalehead this time. Now, if it had been Fort Lauderdale, it probably would have been a different story because evidently no one's sleeping there. But anyway, kudos to the volunteers. Kudos to our firefighters. Nobody was hurt, and the fire was contained. So, other than some melted siding next door, but that's all.
Okay.
Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Beaumont?
Just a couple things, because kind of hoarse tonight from a cold, but first of all, I just want to wish everyone a happy Easter coming up here, and be safe out there, and just remember why we celebrate Easter. Also that Currituck Kids is having their annual Easter egg extravaganza. It's Sunday the 24th from 12 to 2. Every year it's grown. It's a good free event for the kids to Easter egg hunt. games, there's crafts, there's a lot of stuff to do. Different age kids groups go out there. So it's going to be up at the Y in that area with the Brainbridge Church and Currituck kids all helping. So we'll be stuffing eggs all this week. Volunteers and anybody who can stuff an egg with candy or toys is welcome to go by the Y and help out. But it's a fun time. We've been doing this, gosh, since I've been on the Currituck Kids Board since 2009. Working with the kids of this thing. It's growing every year. It's a fun event. So if you got time to get out there, bring your kids, have a good time. And that's all I had for this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Getty?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to congratulate the candidates and the primary winners from the March 5th election, especially my colleague, Commissioner Jarvis. And I hope the focus of this board will always be in the best interest of the county and never be self-serving. Decisions should always be ethical and transparent, helping to restore trust in our government. Also, I'd like to give a big thank you to all the precinct workers and the office staff. It's certainly not an easy job on election day and afterwards, and we do appreciate everything they've done. But with just 26.35% of Currituck voters voting, folks, we need to do better. So just make sure that when November rolls around, you get out and vote. Also this month, the month of March, is recognized as National Social Work Month. Social work is a profession truly dedicated to helping people. Our county social service department employs 19 social workers and supervisors who are tasked with protecting children and vulnerable adults every day. They respond to crisis and investigate allegations of abuse and neglect concerning children and disabled adults, night or day. I serve on the Social Service Board, and our board, along with Director Hurd, love to recognize social workers for their contributions throughout the year. This month, we're hoping to have Senator Bobby Hannock, who will be attending, to thank all these remarkable workers for all the hard work they do and for the service that they provide for the citizens of Currituck County. Thank you.
Commissioner Jarvis?
I want to start out by congratulating College of the Albemarle on receiving an allocation of $194,000 in recurring funds from the State Board of Community Colleges. This will be used to implement an intellectual and developmental disabilities training program, which will help support our citizens that have intellectual and developmental disabilities to become part of the workforce to contribute and thrive in our community. This initiative greatly supports COA's commitment to helping include many individuals in inclusive educational opportunities and for outcomes for people with these IDDs. So congratulations on that. That is a program that will get up and running hopefully soon and continue through many years. And I do want to congratulate the winners and the people that ran. It was a great season to really get to know not only the winners, but the people who didn't win. We had great conversations. No matter whether they won or lost, there is no doubt that those people that ran for office do care about the county and only want to see the county thrive. So congratulations to Paul O'Neill and Janet Rose, Tony Angel, and Natalie Twitty on their win. Look forward to working with you. And finally, I just want to tell Ike McCree how much I have admired him and appreciated his guidance through the 5 years working on the 6 that I've been here. You've shaped me and you've left a mark on me that will hopefully continue to make me want to make this place great. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Last week, I attended, well, first of all, same thing, I'll follow up with candidates. Thank you to those. I said it before, and again, to put yourself out there. it's not an easy thing to do, and it's tough when you lose. So to those that did, I'm sorry. Hopefully you'll come back and fight again another time for another position and continue to serve this county. There's many other ways to get involved, whether it's on a planning board or any of the other various boards we've had in the county. So thank you to those that stepped up to serve. Congratulations, Ms. Selena and Janet and everyone else that ran. Janet's in the audience tonight. As you all know, most of us, the commissioners, all serve on a bunch of boards. Last week, I had to do a 2-day work session retreat with the Corolla Wild Horse Fund. That's the first one they've done on my tenure on that board, and it was very encouraging, the amount of work that was put in by the board members who are also volunteers on that board. The work that they do helps to ensure the continued success of keeping the state horse wild and free in Corolla, and they're highly critical to this county as far as our tourism effort here. Obviously, they're recognized everywhere, and so continuing to have them here on our beaches is a big part of a draw to our area, in addition to our beaches and the other things we have here. I read an interesting email today we got on growth, something that if you are not into growth, you would groan at. If you like growth, then you will enjoy this. But North Carolina, for 22 and 23, had 84 counties see growth, with 16 of them having people move out or in decline. North Carolina grew at a faster rate than I think it was 80% of the counties throughout the state, or it's throughout the United States, I should say. So we are not only growing here, but it's throughout the entire state. And much of that growth is obviously around Raleigh-Durham, Research Triangle, Charlotte, Greensboro, and those areas. But if you live in Moyock, they're pouring in here too. So, but for a different reason. We get retirees and military obviously here, where in those areas it's people moving for jobs. So it's a little bit different thing, but we're not the only ones here in Currituck County that are growing in this state. And we'll continue to see that so long as the legislature pushes things that encourage people to move here, whether it's tax rates, whether it's reduction in your income tax. Eventually, they're trying to get to zero income tax to encourage people to move here. And with that brings all the problems that we see, traffic and growth. So, and lastly, again, I thank you for your time, your service to this county. My 7+ years of working with you, I've learned a lot, and I've taken much of it to heart. So thank you again, and I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And with that, you're up next, sir.
First of all, Mr. Chairman, as we have posted on the county's website, the state is requiring a demolition and repouring of a concrete pad at the county's transfer station. That will necessitate closure of the transfer station this Friday and Saturday, March 22nd and 23rd. Trash and bulk waste cannot be accepted at the transfer station on those 2 days. Brush, metal, and white goods will be accepted. Waste Management will also be adding additional containers at the convenience centers, and will be pulling containers more often in order to get us over this hump. So that work should be complete and the transfer station back open next Monday. Secondly, the Travel and Tourism Department has asked for some direction from the board, at least with regard to what might be included in the manager's proposed budget coming to you in the next couple of months. Regarding the Currituck Jack statue, you may remember the county applied for a Z. Smith Reynolds Foundation grant. We were not successful in getting that grant. There's another grant opportunity, thus the reason for looking for some direction from the board tonight. That grant will fund up to $30,000 if the county was successful, $30,000 of the approximately $180,000 cost for the statue. So looking for some direction from the board. Is that something that you would be inclined to see included in the budget so that it might allow them for a grant application to be completed and sent in to the granting agency?
You said it was how much to actually do the?
$180,000 approximately would be the cost of the statue itself, with $30,000 hopefully, if it's awarded,
right.
coming as a grant.
There was no decision where it would be located.
Yes, I think
Was-
it's finally concluded that the best location for it would be at the Jarvisburg Colored School property out front.
I think it's an interesting story. I think it's history of Currituck, and we certainly want to preserve the history, and if it would mean, I'm in favor of going ahead with it.
And with the work we're doing on that school down there, I think, if we're going to make that a stop that we want to encourage people to read about the history, it's a perfect place for that.
Agree as well.
I agree. I mean, like I said, there's a lot of traffic. Sorry, Paul, I cut you off. I apologize. I won't do it again. There is a lot of traffic there. I ride in the county quite frequently, and there is lots of people that visit, so I would be in support of it as well.
Of it being part of their budget for discussion, I think until we know what the impact of what the budget looks like, I do not want it to be interpreted to be committing to purchasing $180,000 statue, worst case, right? Because if we don't get the $30,000 grant, then we're going to foot the whole bill.
Right.
So I think we can certainly consider that as part of the budget process, but I hesitate to promise, or I don't think we're prepared to do that yet.
Did you
Well,
need,
I
did you
think,
need that?
I think clearly the board has to adopt a budget to include that.
Right.
But also, you're not required to accept the grant. So it sounds like there is some support for this, and I will suggest then to the director that she go ahead and make application and see where it goes.
Okay.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the grants with us, I can tell you, like I said,
Put
with the
Kevin
county
on it.
there. No, a lot of times, like, maybe we're
I know,
like
but
1
you
for
seem to
10.
get all the grants you put in for.
Yeah, not many. About 10%.
I'll have Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, sir. How about you, Ms. Morgan? Anything this evening?
Just a couple of things. Last week, I attended a meeting with the planning director, Bill Nunes, and the assistant planning director, Jenny Turner, with DEQ regarding the moratorium that has been placed on the Eagle Creek wastewater treatment plant. That is effective as of April 15th, 2024, which means no new connections to that sewer plant until they can fix a lot of the issues that they are having. On Friday, Assistant County Manager Rebecca Gay and myself and Mary Beth Nunes, the Communications and Emergency Management Director, met with some property owners on Southern Pine Drive. We are seeking to get an amendment to an existing easement we have for that water tower, and hoping to put a monopole to enhance the public radio system. So we're hoping that they will consent to that so we can enhance that system.
If I may, where'd you say that was at?
Southern Pine Drive.
Okay.
And the Eagle Creek, aren't they under a court order already to do repairs? There was something, and it might have been before your time.
I don't
Mike
know.
might be able to answer that a little better.
I think the state did get judgment or order that they were to comply with certain repairs and maintenance that was needed for the plant. This is now, given they've gone a step further, we received reports from the state that there actually is the effluent is so untreated that it cannot be sprayed on the golf course at the current time. And so, I mean, the golf course ponds are being impacted or full of effluent, and there's some other issues with regard to the treatment plant. So thus, I think now as a result, the DWR has issued a moratorium.
Okay. All
Not
right.
affecting the false track, because I've heard there's some people who've been having lots of complaints up there. They had a meeting, my understanding, this past Wednesday.
Well, this does apply to them, the moratorium. And so the developers for that were in the meeting with us. And they have agreed to allow any contract that they've entered into with families, they'll let them tap in, which is about 20 some. But after that, no more, as long as they get an approved building permit by April 15th, if they're under contract.
Okay, so that's going to come to a screeching halt.
But there's issues up there right now.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, obviously, well, they got involved. Okay. Thank you. All right,
Was-
next,
One quick, was there any time frame on when they say the repairs could be affected?
The utility company or DEQ?
Utility company.
All they said was they were working on it. I mean, then they're almost there. So they didn't really give a lot of insight on that.
like you said,
I
that
think
4 years ago.
finances is an issue.
Thank goodness it's somebody else's.
Yeah. Okay. All right, next up, we, administrative reports. The only item on the agenda tonight is East Albemarle Regional Library presentation by Kim Perry, the library director.
Mr. Chairman, just by way of introduction, as contained in your agenda package, there is proposed for dissolution the East Albemarle Regional Library System. Ms. Perry is here going to explain what East Albemarle Regional Library System is, what it has done over the years, and the reason why the recommendation is being made by the Board of Trustees for the library system and the other member counties, which are Dare, Camden, and Pasquotank, to dissolve that relationship between the 4 counties.
Thank you.
Ms. Perry.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Erica Hill, and I'm the Currituck County Librarian.
Good evening.
Feel free to jump in anytime, Erica. Okay. Just a little bit of background. East Albemarle Regional Library was formed in 1964, so it's been around a good while. It was formed in 64 to provide regional library service for the counties that you mentioned, Pasquotank, Camden, Currituck, and Dare, 4 contiguous counties, northeastern North Carolina. And last summer, or prior to last summer, we had some conversations with each of the county managers and shared that that EARL, East Albemarle Regional Library, is commonly known as EARL, that EARL was in a bit of a precarious financial condition. So the 4 managers agreed that instead of doing a 10-year agreement, which is traditional, they moved to do a 3-year agreement, which runs from July 1, 2023 and expires June 30, 2026. So we're working within this 3-year agreement right now. One of the things that was driving this whole conversation is the state aid that comes from the state library, the Department of Cultural Resources. That's a grant that's awarded to independent libraries as well as regional libraries annually. And we apply, I as the director now will be applying annually for state aid. And there are 12 eligibility requirements. Whether you are a regional library or if you move to become an independent county library, there are 12 eligibility requirements. But 3 of those requirements are particularly important for considering whether EARL is financially viable or if we need to consider moving to the independent county library model. And those 3 are that as a regional library, you have to employ a full-time regional director. That means that ideally, EARL should have 4 county librarians at a minimum, plus a regional director. With our financial situation, we have 4 county librarians and 1 person, which is currently myself, serving a dual role as a county librarian and as a regional director. It doesn't serve either entity well. Another thing that's very important as when we're considering state aid is that we have to secure operational funding from our local government sources, and that amount has to be equal or more than the average of the prior 3 years. Currituck County provides annual funding for your libraries as well as each of the other EARL counties. And the other thing that you have to do when you're considering either whether you're going to maintain the EARL agreement or if you're going to move forward into independent county libraries is you have to go through what's called a demonstration year if you want to receive state aid as an independent county library. And during the demonstration year to receive state aid, you have to prove to the state that you can adequately fund and run a public library. And what we're going to have to do is on July 1 of the year prior to becoming independent, if you choose to do so, we will have to show the state library that you can meet all those requirements. We're going to have to continue to meet all those requirements during the year following the time when you say we want to make that proof. And then we have to file a full application for state aid by June 30th. Prior to that demonstration year. We're prepared to do all that stuff. The state library is supporting all of us as we move forward with this. So there's a number of requirements in order for Earl, as we are now, to receive state aid from the Department of Cultural Resources and the state library, or if we move to the independent library model, Currituck County, Erica will work to make sure that the county receives that state aid. But we're prepared to do it either way, one way or the other. An important word that comes into play often when we're talking about state aid is maintenance of effort. And that is from the county's point of, or from the state library's point of view, the counties have to show that they are providing at least a steady input of resources for the county libraries. And when the state library looks at maintenance of effort, it has to be equal to or more than the average of the prior 3 years. From the state library's point of view, they understand that budgetary changes may have to be made. So if you fall down one year, you need to make it up the next year. But when we apply for state aid, we do have to show that each county currently in the Earl region, or you if you're an independent library, are maintaining your support, your financial support for your libraries, and hopefully growing your financial support for your libraries. In the event that you do have an independent library and you decide to cut funding for that library, when you apply for state aid, your amount of state aid for that following year will be reduced proportionately if a county decides to cut funding for the library. The state library wants you to continue to maintain support for your libraries. Just as a point of discussion, for fiscal year 23-24, Currituck County provided support for the libraries in $783,703. So you're already doing it. Currituck County's supporting your libraries. The other counties in the Earl region are also supporting their libraries very well too.
Real quick question.
Absolutely.
So Pasquotank is, their maintenance of effort is only 60,000 more than ours?
Well,
I guess my question is, what fuels the maintenance of effort? Why is that dollar number where that's at?
That's the amount that each county has chosen to budget for their libraries. Camden for 23-24, as you're reading from the same report, supported their libraries with a budget of $235,327. Currituck, the amount we mentioned prior, Dare, $1,265,755, and Pasquotank budgeted $845,376. So that's how much each county for this fiscal year budgeted for their libraries.
How many libraries, like in Dare County, how many do they have? We have 2, correct? Or
Three.
3, I forgot. Corolla, sorry. 3. How many does like Dare have or Pasquotank have?
Dare has 3.
Pasquotank has one.
Pasquotank has
only has
1,
one.
and
That's what I
Camden
thought.
has 1.
It's massive. And Camden has 1.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay, to look back at state aid, of course, the state library has a formula for calculating state aid for your libraries. And 50% of state aid comes in the form of block grants. And each county library receives a block grant. And when you're a member of a regional library, you receive a block grant for each county that's in that region, plus an additional block grant for being a region. So for East Albemarle Regional Library, we received 4 block grants, 1 for each of our counties, an additional block grant for being a region. And then the other 50% of state aid comes from what's called an equalization grant. Equalization calculation is based on a formula from the state aid. It is comprised of local community support, that's both monetary and in-kind contributions, the library service area population, and the library service area per capita income. And looking at those factors, that's when the state library decides how much your independent library will get as an equalization grant. So those will be considered if, they're considered right now as part of our regional library state aid, but they would also be considered if you choose to move to an independent library model. Something that has been very important with our conversation about whether we can even consider moving to the independent library model is something that's built into the state library, and it's a demonstration year. Anytime that the state library has to consider if a county or a new library can be formed, you have to demonstrate that you can do that adequately. And traditionally, that demonstration year is 100% unfunded by the state library, which means you get zero state aid for that year. And this year, or last year was October of '23, I met with the state librarian and I said, is there any way that the counties in East Albemarle Regional Library, who have provided library service for a number of years, their maintenance of effort has never been in question. We run good libraries. We serve our populations well. Is there a way we can avoid the demonstration year, receive state aid in a seamless manner, and transition to the independent county library model? And to my ultimate surprise, they said yes. There is a way we can do that. And the way we're going to be able to do that is to overlay, if we choose to move to the independent library model, is to overlay Earl's final year of operation and receiving state aid, as we traditionally do, with the demonstration year for Currituck County's first year as an independent library. So they're letting us kind of mesh the two. And it's based on the fact that we have a strong track record, and they believe that we're going to create a good team, that we're going to be able to prepare for this transition. We're going to be able to apply for state aid properly. We're going to make sure that we're meeting each of those 12 points, not just the year, that first year. We're going to meet it the prior year, and we're going to begin meeting it almost immediately. So the team at the state library has agreed to support all of us during that transition time, and to make sure that we're all well trained to provide a good, sound application for state aid, so none of our 4 counties could potentially have an unfunded year. So that was a big, big moment for us. Do you have any questions about the demonstration year? Okay. So just if you want to look at what our current state aid award is, for 23-24, Earl's current state aid award is $492,100. That's what comes in from the state for all of our 4 counties. If Currituck and all the counties choose to form independent libraries, the state library has estimated that your Currituck County state aid award would be $102,744. Instead of that state aid coming to Earl, it would go directly to Currituck County. It would need to be put in a budget line specially for the library and used only for the library. So it's not, and the finance department is 100% aware of how to do that. So that's, they did already project what would be available in state aid for Currituck County. And a type of software libraries use, it's called our integrated library system. It's really the software that runs a library. It allows us to keep track of what we need to move materials around, and do the business of a library. Currently, we use TLC project, the Library Corporation project called LS2. And prior to splitting into independent libraries, if we choose to do so, we are going to migrate to NC Cardinal, which is a statewide consortium product that allows, would allow us to join with over 50 other libraries within the state. Currently, we share our resources with 4 counties, or the 4 counties in our regions. Anybody could walk into any of our libraries from Camden, Currituck, Dare, and Pasquotank counties. They can walk in, check out a book. They can return it at any of the other libraries, and there's no difference, one or the other. If we move to NC Cardinal, you'd become essentially a member of 50-plus libraries around the state. You can walk into those libraries, check out materials. You can return them at another Cardinal library. And right now we have about 136,000 items available among our Earl libraries. As we join NC Cardinal, there'll be over 7 million items available for our patrons at no cost. It would just be a cost of doing business for the library. So that put a smile on our faces. That's a way that we can improve service for our patrons. And that's our goal with this, is to improve our service for our patrons. So of course we have a cost estimate for what Currituck County would be if we move toward the independent library model. If you're independent and you're using NC Cardinal, the total cost for Currituck County would be $6,750 per year. The way we would move those materials around from library to library is by a mail service. Right now, we're using the state library is using FedEx. They bid it out every few years. Those mailing costs are included in your annual cost. So there's no additional cost. You pay it one time. They cover your IT support. They cover any software changes. And you don't have to, a huge thing is you don't have to provide your local IT support, and you don't have to maintain a local server. We can vouch for the fact that maintaining a local server takes up a good bit of our time. So that's a huge point, like from a library service point looking out. But from a patron point of view, that concept of being able to walk into any Cardinal library within the state using your Currituck County library card, check out an item, walk out of the door with it, and then come back to Currituck County, put it in the book drop, and it will go back to that home library. That's service for your patrons, and that made us all happy people.
So it sounds like this is a very positive thing to jump to the ultimate conclusion. We're basically, we're better off, right? In the end, it's less headache for you, it sounds like, as well.
Well,
Probably
we certainly
considerably
hope
less.
so. We hope it's going to be better service for our patrons. It's going to broaden the depth of the collection that's out here. We'll be able to get things for our patrons that maybe our budgets can't support purchasing locally, because we can't always serve every person who walks through our doors with our local collection. So this will allow us to pull from all the resources throughout the Cardinal libraries in the state.
Will the card, will everyone have to get a new library card, or will it stay in the system the way it is?
It'll stay just like it is. That's one of our decision-making points with Cardinal. We've found out that all of our patron barcodes can remain exactly the same. The barcode that's on your library card can remain exactly the same, and all the barcodes that are on our materials can remain exactly the same. We don't have to redo any of those, and that was like a huge
Right.
we were relieved with that.
It's a little bit of work, right?
Yeah, we thought at least 1 or 2 of our libraries would have to re-barcode, but the answer was no, we don't have to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very good.
So that was good. And I'm not promising there won't be hiccups in this, because I can't make that promise, but we're anticipating that it's going to be good service for our patrons, and the 4 librarians in this Earl world, we're agreeing to work together through this process, and we're going to remain, partners after this process. We've relied on each other for years. There aren't a lot of librarians in this part of the world, and we need each other. Mm-hmm. We need each other professionally. We need each other just as a sounding board, and we all agree we're going to be there for one another, and we'll be here throughout this transition process. And there will be some hiccups along the way, and we're going to do our best to work it out.
Has this been received well by the other counties?
It has. It really has been. I think it's just you're opening up more materials for your patrons and really no significant increase in money that's going to need to go in locally. So it sounds like a real win-win to be able to open up resources to people all across the state. And you might be interested that we've talked to a number of librarians who have transitioned from, and some from the same software that we're using right now, transitioned from TLC to NC Cardinal, and they say without a doubt their patrons would revolt if they tried to go back. They love the service that they're getting.
Well, it sounds like
Sounds like a good plan.
We hope so. We're selling it as such. But the negatives of our current structure, we lack the funds to maintain the support structure that we really need. If Earl was to continue, we would need to add a director as well as have 4 librarians. We don't have the money to do that. Right. We don't have adequate funds for staff innovation. We can't pay our staff appropriately. We've had to, throughout the years, put more cost onto our member counties. It's a good example is Earl used to cover all the TLC cost, and now that's had to be picked up by the counties because Earl just doesn't have the money to do it. It's just not there. The combined county librarian and regional director position serves neither entity well. The counties have no direct authority over the librarians. We're employed by Earl, and while the library employees are county employees. That makes for a little bit of a weird supervisory structure. Erica and I are not employed by our counties, but we're supervising employees who are employed by the county. It's a little bit hard to internalize sometimes, but I just pretend I'm a county employee. That's the best way to do it, except our benefits are different and it's same thing but different. The outlook for adequate or increased state funding is bleak. We did get a slight bump this year, but it's unlikely we're going to continue to get bumps. Some things that we have identified that will change if you do move to the independent model, IT support. All responsibility for our staff and public workstations will go over to your local IT support. NC Cardinal will be responsible for our ILS software. We will just need an internet connection to make that work. We're working with each of our counties to make sure that our email accounts, we all have Earl email accounts. We don't have county email, which is another oddity, but we're working on transitioning that over. One more thing that sounds easier than it really is. Right. And Human Resources would take on the responsibility of the librarian because they would become a county employee. So right now there are 2 options that we see. One is to, at the end of this agreement, sign another 10-year contract, figure out a way to move forward with Earl, or we can become county departments and 4 independent libraries. So we're presenting that to you guys tonight.
Okay.
So now you're being paid by Earl?
Correct.
And if we accept this, you'll be county employees.
Correct.
And we'll be paying your salary. So there would be a cost to the county.
The state
but we still
aid,
get state money.
We would anticipate
aid would go directly to the counties. Right now, the state aid comes directly to Earl.
we'd just anticipate the state grant would cover the cost of bringing the librarian into our employment.
So it would be interesting, because looking at the equalization funds, we don't have any expectation of getting any of those, right? I mean,
That was my.
I don't at all.
Will our tier
When you-
system affect
I-
that?
No, but when you look at the criteria they identify for that, we're not gonna qualify for any of that.
No.
So what is the estimated increase to librarian, assuming I get the salaries, because ultimately, right? But how much is the cost of the library system gonna go up? Do we have an estimate?
For Currituck,
Yeah.
it would just be the cost of a head librarian. We already fund all our employees, our facilities. Well, I guess acquisition of books also. We would have to start paying for that.
Okay.
So can we take this as a signal the state's going to get out of funding public libraries?
Not at all. No, it's a statutory requirement, I believe. The state library is not pulling funding for state libraries. And I can answer your question, Mr. Beaumont, that the equalization estimate for Currituck County would be $22,474. Your block grant would be $80,270 for a total of $102,744.
So that's already what we're getting presently.
Well, that's your estimate if you were to.
Got it projected. Okay.
Yeah. But no, the state library has not ever indicated any intent to stop funding public libraries.
And just because the other thing, because currently with Earl, if I need a resource, if I need a book that Currituck doesn't have, Earl already provides, if it's within the system, that's already being shipped to Currituck to be
Correct.
used. The other part of being part of 50 other systems that I see is now you have 49 or 46 other counties that could potentially be pulling resources from Currituck if they need them, and we've got it, right? I mean, it's just a working system, right?
Well,
Everybody shares.
Yeah, everybody's sharing, but you're also sharing 7 million items as you join NC Cardinal. Right now, we're sharing 136,000 items. As we transition to NC Cardinal, we'd be sharing 7 million items with the member counties. So it's a larger pool to pull from.
Understood, but there's a lot more people pulling from that same pool. There's a reason there's 7 million. Got it. Thanks.
All right. Ladies, anything else this evening?
I think that covers it.
Okay,
From our point of view, do y'all
all right.
have anything else?
Any more questions from the board?
No, I think
Okay.
I understand it pretty well.
Well, we have this on our agenda for an action item actually in a little bit, so, because for the resolution dissolving the East Albemarle Regional Library is under new business item 4 for us. So we'll be taking that up in a little while.
Very shortly, yep.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, ladies. All right, next up is new business. And we'll let people shuffle out and we'll jump into a recommendation of the bid award. Their Ocean Sands North Crown Point Service Drainage District Improvement Fund.
So it'll be out of in 5 years.
I was gonna say 3.
Oh, yeah.
All right, who's got this one this evening?
I'll present it, Mr. Chairman. This is the Ocean Sands North and Crown Point Drainage Improvement Project. As you recall, the county has initiated a project within the service district to create a groundwater lowering system, much like Wellhead subdivision has successfully implemented to handle stormwater issues within that subdivision. This project was fully designed, at least through much of Ocean Sands, but we came back with estimates that were, well, bids actually that were much higher than we had anticipated a year or more ago. Unable to fund that project, so now we've broken the project into smaller pieces. This particular piece that was bid would actually begin with the outfall behind the county's water plant in Corolla that would allow for groundwater to sheet flow across the marsh. And then it will extend, this first phase that was bid will extend to NC 12. And then it appears that the bids were such that we're going to be able to fund the next little piece, which will be actually to bore under NC 12 and come up on the Ocean Sands side of NC 12. And then in future fiscal years, continue to piece this project together with revenue as it's generated by the tax that's imposed in the service district. Assistant County Manager Rebecca Gay also has completed a grant application seeking approximately $9 million to fund this project, help fund this project. We hope that we will get a successful response from the federal government, but that will not be known until either late this year, maybe even first of next year before we know if there is an award of that grant. In any event, our consulting engineers, Albemarle and Associates, John DeLucia, recommends that the bid be awarded to Hatchell Concrete, which was the lowest responsive bidder, and this had to go to a second bid. There were not sufficient bidders in the first round. For the base bid of, I think it's $891,790.72. The alternative bid for $182,879.73 for a total base and alternate bid of $1,074,670.45. Staff would recommend the board award the contract to Hatchell Concrete.
And Ike, the other thing I would call out also on that bid sheet is our engineer's estimate.
Yes.
Estimated that total would be basically $1.5 million for that same project.
Exactly.
So Hatchell Concrete, in fact, came in approximately $420,000 under what we expected that bid to be.
Yes, and in this day and age, it's been unusual for us to have
Right.
bids come in
Right.
less than the engineer's estimates.
And can you explain what the minor clerical error was? It was mentioned on page 66, but it was not pointed out on the bid summary sheet.
As indicated by the engineer, the Hatchell bid did not total both the base bid and alternate bid. They didn't, as they did now on this sheet, you'll see where the base, alternate are totaled for $1,074,000. That was deemed to be an insignificant error.
What's on page 67 is correct.
That is correct.
Okay.
Okay. Anything further from the board? I guess since it's a crawl thing, I'll move for approval.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next up is an ordinance amending section 11-29 of the code of ordinances for off-road solid waste enclosures, and this is about the third bite at the apple to finally
is.
hopefully get this language
Yes, it is. So if
cleaned up.
we've recently had this, the biggest, the reason that we put animal-proof trash cans is the risks that the trash, the risk to the horses and really human contact with the wild horses. And so the board approved an ordinance that required animal-proof trash cans. The one that was adopted required a cover on the top of the structure that basically made it weatherproof, waterproof, which wasn't really the intent. The intent was to just make sure it was staying closed. And so I think some homeowners wanted to put like lattice or something like that, which wouldn't meet the requirements of the existing
Right.
ordinance. So the one before you tonight takes that language out and just says that the cover on the top will prevent animals from getting into the receptacles. That's the only change. Everything remains the same about requiring the animal proof, the other elements of it being animal proof.
Okay. Anything from the board? All right. Well, I'll move for approval of the ordinance with the changes.
Can I ask one quick question on that? I know the last time we've had that, the first and maybe second time, where we had like some photos of some different things.
Yes, we are going to get photos and put them on the county website to show some examples of what we're looking for.
Because I know, I'm not going to say nobody's company, so I know there was a couple different companies, I think,
Right, that submitted
made a
ideas.
couple that were, like we're talking about, so, okay. But that's something we are going to do.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So I made a motion to
Second.
approve. Thank you. Paul, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, next up is an ordinance amending Chapter 2, Article 3 of the County Code of Ordinances by adding a new Division 11 Tourism Board. So,
Yes, so currently, there's a resolution in place that created the Tourism Advisory Board. At our last meeting, there was discussion about adding a member of the Currituck Game Commission as a non-voting ex officio member to the Tourism Advisory board. So when I started drafting that, the county manager and I discussed changing that to an ordinance instead of a resolution, because most of the advisory boards are part of our code of ordinances. And so before you tonight is an ordinance that's added to the section that discusses all the advisory boards. And it has a lot of the language that was part of the resolution is incorporated in here. And then if you look at, the main change is the composition that adds the Currituck County Game Commission shall appoint a member from the Currituck County Game Commission to serve as an ex officio non-voting representative to the advisory board.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you and I talked about this, one of the challenges that the tourism board has had is meeting a quorum.
Thought the same thing
And,
today.
I'm sorry?
Thought the same thing today.
And if we do not have to have an ex officio, I would recommend that they be a regular member of the board, voting member. Otherwise, we're going to be in the same boat with just an extra attendee.
Right. That's I had the same exact thought today. when I
What's
read
the
it.
average attendees?
It's been a little of late. It's been hard to get a quorum together. I think your first meeting you did not have a quorum.
Didn't have a quorum.
It's been pretty good though. The last several years we've had pretty good
Just
attending
recently,
board
just a
members,
couple, okay.
But yeah, we actually had that discussion that this member should be a voting member, I believe, or at least that was my thought, so that we could.
It would help.
It would help. It would help.
I thought we said we would try and see how it worked out before we made them a voting member at the last meeting.
I say like you said, if they're struggling to get a quorum sometimes, I know this is something I've worked on for months. Let's add one, and that gives you another possibility to have a quorum where they can have
Yeah,
that's just my 2 cents.
Commissioner
If
Etheridge,
they're having a trouble with the quorum, maybe we need to look at the people who are on the.
Oh, I agree with you on that too.
but I
That's where
thought
we need to look.
I thought the context of that was let's try
Yeah.
one, because the original thought was to add two.
Right.
And then, so at least what I remembered was, let's add one and see how that works out. And then if we need a second, then so be it. But
What would be the drawbacks of allowing them to vote?
I mean, other than you
I mean,
end up with an even number versus an odd number, so.
potentially you could wind up with a tie, but
Somebody's
better
always
question would be, when was the last time everyone was there?
Yeah.
But to
Good point.
Kitty's point, if we do not get members that are going to attend, adding another number of members, it's only going to increase the need for members to attend because you've increased the quorum amount.
Well,
I mean, the way this is written, I mean, if we add this,
You
we
can
have
always
problems
make them a
with,
voting
if we have problems with meeting the quorums, we can change this, make just like that as a voting member.
well, and we need to have, if we not, then, Paul can certainly let us know that they're having problems with. getting
This would
quorum.
allow us to go and get the person in place, they'll be there, and then if we have to change it to a voting member, if we have core problems, we can just change it, but we only have the member in place.
Make them an alternate member. So that if they're one short, they can
Of a
be.
quorum, they can make the
Make the
quorum.
quorum.
That would be a mutual compromise.
Could that be, I mean, could they be,
Similar to the Board of Adjustment.
could they be an alternate to make a quorum when needed?
Yeah, certainly I can amend that language, doing that if that's what you wanted to do.
And Mr. Chairman, I would suggest it's minor language change. I don't know
Right,
that
I
we
was
would
gonna- that
need
was
to
my
bring
next
this
question.
back.
We can do that tonight in this
Yes,
meeting
yes,
without
and
a
as
problem.
long as,
Okay.
since this is an ordinance, it would require unanimous vote. But,
Yeah, I like that.
so whoever makes a motion, just add in whatever that language would be, and then I can change that.
Okay, so which language are we talking about now? Are we talking about the language to
Non-voting.
let them be an alternate?
Yes.
Or, okay,
Yes.
just,
Yeah,
we've
be an
kind of talked
alternate.
about a lot of
Yes.
language
Once
all of a
it's-
sudden.
Be an
so-
alternate when the quorum is
Right.
not met, that the
Okay.
alternate
Soon,
can,
actually, but it's.
can qualify the
it's, to
quorum
deal
then
with,
at that point.
Chandler thing.
So then when they are not needed as an alternate, they're an
They're just a
ex
sitting-
officio,
yes,
non-voting.
yes.
Right. And
When a
then,
quorum is met by the existing board, they're just an ex officio.
All right, so,
I'm concerned making up the language on the fly. Only just because if we don't get it perfect, then we're gonna be back here anyway.
Is it that hard
So-
to modify right now, or? I mean, it's just,
Well,
Go ahead
we
and
could just
modify.
go ahead and adopt this one and then do an amendment
at the next meeting.
at the next meeting. I mean,
Or just
instead of,
bring it at the next meeting.
or we could do that.
Yeah,
Let's just do-
either way.
let's
I mean,
just
we
do that. I
could
mean, there's no
spell out
point
the
in
language
adopting something
tonight
to
or bring
change
it back.
It's not gonna impact the next tourism meeting.
Okay.
Next tourism
That's
meeting's
what I
not
was
till
worried
April
about.
something, right?
I was worried it was
Yeah,
gonna
it's a
interfere with
while.
that.
All
Okay.
right, then we could just vote on, it, be done with it, all right.
Okay. So procedurally, do we need to table this for changes? I guess we need a motion to move this to our next meeting.
So moved.
Changes.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye. To our next meeting, which is April 1st?
Yep.
Okay.
No. Is it April 1st?
Yes.
April
Yeah,
1st,
okay,
April
I had to think
Fool's
about
Week.
that for a minute.
I
All
was
right,
told you.
all right, next up, resolution dissolving East Albemarle Regional Library, which we discussed just a few moments ago. So,
This resolution would establish Currituck County's position agreeing to dissolve the East Albemarle Regional Library System. Dare County has already taken action agreeing to the dissolution. Pasquotank and Camden are about to. So we recommend that you adopt this resolution. It also gives the county manager the authority to execute any necessary documents that remain to affect the dissolution. The other documents are essentially giving notice to the other member counties and to the state of North Carolina of the county's intent to participate in dissolution of the system.
okay, thank you. Any questions from the board?
Yeah.
Earl's retiring.
Earl's retired. Can I have a motion?
I can
I'll
make a,
move to, oh, go ahead,
no,
Mike.
go ahead. Jump on, go ahead.
I'll move to adopt the resolution dissolving Earl.
Thank you.
Second.
Mike, you want to second that?
Second.
Second? Oh, all right. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Next up is treatment plant and collection system. This is dealing with the wastewater plant down here neck of the woods, Mike.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you recall, Eric Weatherly, the prior county engineer, did a presentation on this. I don't recall when, but the board seemed interested in expanding the service area. Currently, the Waterside wastewater treatment plant serves Walnut Island and Waterside villages down in Grandy. And in your agenda packet, there is an Exhibit A, which the Bissell Group made this up, but it shows the expansion going down the highway and up to the area, potentially, let's see, behind the McDonald's in Grandy. It would expand the area there. The legal description is about 4 pages long. The map after that is probably a little bit easier to see how that expansion, what that looks like. And so this resolution would expand the service area from what currently exists to the area you see on the map indicated. Currently, the wastewater treatment plant is currently constructed to treat 90,000 gallons of wastewater per day, and it's expandable to treat 120,000 gallons of wastewater per day.
Can I ask the county attorney a question? I just thought about this just now. Is this in any way affecting any projects potentially from a developer in that area? The reason why I'm asking, because I asked to not partake in the voting last time when we talked about a zoning thing because I did work for one
That's
of the
right.
participants, and I
That's
just
right,
thought
yeah.
about this
Yep.
just now because that same group is
Yes,
presenting
it's the
this.
same.
So I guess I'd ask the board
You
then
need to be
be
recused.
recused from voting on this because I do work for one of the applicants
Okay,
down at the Outer Banks area.
fair enough. So I need a motion to allow Commissioner
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna take a nap real quick.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Sorry about that. I just thought about that when it came up.
Yep, good catch.
So, if we're expanding it down the highway to this area that's behind McDonald's, as is on page 81, who does the county bear the cost for that expansion? Is it someone who wants to hook onto it? Is it the other people who are already hooked on it? Who bears the cost of this expansion?
The expectation would be that the developer bears the cost of the expansion, and frankly, the county sewer system does not have sufficient funds to bear the cost of
Right.
an extension of that force main.
Yeah, that was part of their original, that they would be willing to bear the cost to move the sewer line to service their project.
And then my other question is, when that does expand, do we have any kind of guarantees about how the current members of Walnut Island and Waterside Villages will be impacted by that expansion? Is there any indication, because with all the sewer issues we've had with Eagle Creek and the Mayock system, it concerns me that we're doing this and it may have a negative impact on citizens who have a certain level of service that they have an expectation of.
Well, I think the county would need to be prepared if, for example, there was all of a sudden a build out of waterside villages and/or demand increases in the Walnut Island area that is served, to be prepared to expand the plant to meet the obligation of 120,000 gallons per day to waterside villages in Walnut Island.
So is it my understanding then, if waterside villages were to be built out, and Walnut Island, I'm assuming, is kind of already built out, there would not be sufficient capacity if we expanded it?
There may not, but we need to understand also there have been some changes in state law, for example, that reduced the calculation for the amount of flow coming from a single-family residential structure. So, I mean, you just have to, it's just something I've always been preaching anyway, just want to be careful and watch it to make sure that the county does not get itself in a situation that it's not able to fulfill its obligation, in particular to waterside villages.
And so if that did get to capacity, once again, who would bear the cost of the expansion?
Well, the developer of this piece of property adjacent to McDonald's will be paying a development fee, so there will be some revenue coming in as their contribution, but I think it will end up being the county responsibility to expand if necessary.
But we would end up paying a fee on the service district itself to cover that, right? I mean, the end users have to pay ultimately the cost, right?
But this is not creating a service district, so there's no taxing authority or ability at this point. You would end up having to structure your rates.
It'd be rate structure, I'm sorry. I
Rate
misspoke,
structure in
right.
order to support the operation and maintenance of the system.
Right now, this plant seems to be operating fine. We don't have any real problems with this plant, right?
It overall is doing okay. There's some things the state's asked us to do, they're requiring us to do. One of the things is to replace the grass on the infiltration area to make it sand, although the grass frankly was what was the state required at the very beginning. So now we're taking that up as a big project and replacing it backfilling it with sand. But other work has been done. I think that plant's in good shape.
And we're not anywhere near capacity at this plant.
No, not right now.
Right. Okay.
The other thing about Walnut Island is they're starting to buy 2 or 3 lots and putting them together for
Right, for
one
one
house.
house, yeah. Some redevelopment's happening down there.
Is Royal Farms hooked up to the system?
No.
No.
They're on their own.
No, Royal Farms, Hardee's, they were not connected to the system.
Remember they
Nor-
bought that
nor
trailer
was
to put
McDonald's.
they bought the house to tear it down to put their septic system
Yeah.
in.
What about McDonald's? Would they have their own?
They have their
They have
own.
their own
Their own
too.
septic system.
Yeah, the only people on it are these two neighborhoods basically at this time.
That's correct.
But if the neighborhood waterside builds out, they'll be at capacity, the sewer system.
I'm not sure exactly. We'd have to look again at those numbers to see what the result would be. But again, as I mentioned, there's been some change in state regulation regarding calculation of flow from single-family residential dwellings, which has been reduced. So that might build a little bit of additional capacity into the plant.
And a matter of fact, when they came before us, Bissell was the one that actually engineered all of that, and he, if memory serves, talked about build out of waterside villages and this project and what was going on, and it would still be capacity. It would be close to bumping up to, I believe, the 80%, which would trigger an expansion, right? It's 80% or the. I'm not-
80% would trigger the
Right.
requirement that we be underway with design to expand.
Right,
At 90%, you have to be under construction.
Right. So, yeah, there was still sufficient capacity to handle basically what's going on without expansion.
I'm like
Based on the
Commis-
current usage. I mean, we have
Yeah.
years of data of usage, so.
I'm like Commissioner Jarvis. I think we need to really step back and look with all the problems the people, and if we go approve this and then the people up at Waterside or Walnut Island start having issues.
So you're suggesting we don't do something because it might have a problem in the future and there none exists?
That's right. I said the very same thing about the false track, if you remember correctly.
Okay. All right, well, any further questions about this proposed expansion of the system? All right. Well, then I guess I'll open the floor for a motion from the board if someone wants to tackle this one. Motion, then I'll move to approve the expansion of the collection system based on previous discussion and approvals by the Board of Commissioners of this project.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Yay.
All right, curious. All right. Get this payment back in here.
He got a break.
That,
You
you
got
need a break?
No, I said he got a break.
Yeah. All right.
He's gonna have to tote the bucket.
All right, next up is the consent agenda this evening. Was there any comments, questions, or concerns about the consent agenda?
I got a question on budget amendment. I was reading the thing, and on page 89 on the budget amendment, and I was under the impression where I'd ask, and I've been waiting to see the mobile plant come down the road last week on Friday or this week. And it says explanation, mainland sewer on page 89. Transfer funds for the platform for the temporary mobile plant is scheduled for delivery in the next few weeks. That puts it here in April. It was supposed to be here this month. Is it still?
It was, we just recently learned in that last week or so that the pad, or the concrete pad contractor is not able to get to the job site to do the work by the end of March. So we're waiting to schedule the concrete work to be done for the pad on which the modular plant will be placed.
But that was like part of the setup though too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I saw that it caught my eye, I was like,
Okay, anything further on the consent agenda from the board? All right, can I have a motion, please, for approval?
Move for approval.
Thank you. Second?
Uh,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, at this time, I will recess the regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners and move into a special meeting of the Ocean Sands Water and Sewer District Board. And we have one item on the agenda tonight for Ocean Sands. It's a budget. It's 113. Okay, and so I'll just move for approval. We've got to keep those guys going. Do we have a second?
second.
Thank you. Any discussion from the board? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, and now we'll reconvene and our regular meeting, and we're going to go into closed session pursuant to, I'm going to move to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS 143-318.11A3 to preserve attorney-client privilege. Have a second, please.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, and we'll stand in
short
recess for
recess.
just a minute to clear the room.